Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, Julia.
Hello, welcome.
Can you hear that noise?
I can, yeah. There's a strong background.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the class today. I got a hydro back truck working outside the front of my house. I'm going to
Okay,
try and
yeah.
listen with headphones if I can, but it's
For
annoying. But whatever. It's
sure,
life.
for sure. Yeah, we can hear it.
Well, it's 170 decibels
Oh,
outside.
hopefully the headphones
Yeah.
will
So
work.
I'll see if I can listen, and if not, I'll see if Madeline can send me a copy today or something.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, you take care. All right. I can see everyone's rolling in. Wonderful. So feel free to, well, maybe we'll take a moment here. Sometimes with Zoom, it takes a little moment for everyone to land and have their audio working, but I think we're getting there. Yeah. So as we land into this time together, maybe I'll introduce myself. I feel like there are a few new people. So I'll begin by saying welcome to everyone who's joining back in. It's lovely to see you again. And all of you who are joining for the first time, welcome. It's great to have you. And my name is Juliet. I am a therapist who works through the pain clinic, and I have a background in yoga, paramedicine, kinesiology that I like to weave all of that knowledge into this class to provide you with some an experiential practice where you're able to put it into practice some of the tools that have been found to be helpful in managing pain and discomfort. So it's an honor to be here with you. And as we begin today, I just want to share maybe a little bit of housekeeping just so that we're all on the same page. If you've heard this before, if you've been here before, you're welcome to take a pause, take a sip of water, and allow yourself to really get settled. So, for those of you joining for the first time, we really look at this. I like to look at this space as a community where you are able to arrive just as you are, completely. However you're doing, you are welcome here. And so we have the Zoom space. I'm assuming that by now it's been a few years of using Zoom, so it can still be a little tricky. So we have the option of having cameras on if you'd like to interact in that way. It's always great to see your faces, and you are more than welcome to have cameras off. I really encourage you to choose an option that feels best for you, knowing that that can change day to day. The other piece is we have the option of using the chat box. And so there you're welcome to type any questions. You're welcome to type any comments that you have. And we also have the option of unmuting. If you'd like to ask any questions or chime in, feel free to do so. Sometimes it can be nice. There's the raise hand feature, the button usually at the bottom, and that kind of gives me a little heads up that you'd like to say something. And so know that that's always welcome. And so, I'm always curious where we're joining in from. So I'm seeing some good mornings in the chat there. West Kelowna. Wonderful. Yeah, I know that we're joining in from all across the province usually. So sometimes even across Canada, which is really fantastic. And oh, speaking of the chat, sometimes people find that it can be a little bit overwhelming to be navigating that with the class. And so if that's the case for you, know that there's no need to monitor that chat box, and you're welcome to stay in your experience. Oh, perfect. I'm seeing that there was an improvement to the Zoom link, and the reminder was there. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you for letting us know. I know that there were a little bit of, there was the last week was the week of glitches. So we've got some changes this week. I'm glad that it's going smoother. And with that being said, yeah, David joining us from Trail. Dreary. Yes, I know the weather has changed. There was some sun that came through, and Now it's the clouds have rolled in again. And so isn't that, oh, and David, yeah, hopefully your audio issues, yeah, hopefully that can get sorted. Yeah, that's too bad. And so I like to speak about the weather as we begin, as it really is an analogy of the body as well, as there are times where the sunshine rolls in and you might feel a little glimpse of having a sense of being able to feel a little, your energy's a little different, and then sometimes the the clouds roll in, the storms roll through. And so mindfulness is a practice that allows us to be able to observe it and change our relationship to the weather. And so in a very subtle way. And so my hope for today is that we can weave in a practice of some compassion for ourselves, as that really is quite the practice. And so I'll be guiding us through a yoga nidra today. It's a if you haven't heard of this before, it's a practice that's done in any position that you'd like. I've had some people ask if they can do so walking because staying still is actually too challenging in the body. And absolutely. So know that today, throughout this today's class, feel free to make any adjustments to your body at any time. And maybe before I describe the practice that we'll move into today, let's take a moment to check in to see how are you really doing right now. So here you might want to take a look at your setting, at your where you are in space right now in your home. You might look around and take a little scan to see if I could be 5% more comfortable. What might that look like? Is there perhaps something that you'd like to shift or alter? Maybe that's the lighting. See if you'd like to adjust the lighting in any way. Sometimes it can be nice to have dimmer lighting for relaxation. And the other piece too is there anything physically? How is my physical body doing? Let's check in with the temperature and see, is this temperature all right for me? Would I like to adjust it? Maybe you would like to grab another sweater or a blanket. Sometimes a subtle weight of a blanket can increase the sensation of relaxation. I'm sitting on a heat pad today. For myself, this is something that's bringing me some comfort today. So you can make any adjustments. Maybe that's grabbing a heat pad, or maybe it's an ice pack that you need. These little things that we do are really can have a large impact. And so once you've looked at your setting and your location, sometimes if you've had a challenging sleep, I know sometimes people will like to attend while in bed, and that's absolutely okay. And sometimes moving your location to a different spot, maybe a different part of the couch or a different room, can change things a little bit for you. They might alter your experience slightly. So, yeah, just see if this is the place that you'd like to rest, if there's comfort there. Then begin to bring your body into a position that might be of most support. Whether that's seated, you're welcome to be seated, or maybe you'd like to recline today. If you have the opportunity, you might lay back and perhaps even elevate your feet slightly with a pillow under the knees. If you're seated, sometimes it can be nice to have a pillow behind the head to allow the head to rest. Or maybe it's your back against a support to feel that slight support behind you. All these adjustments might be subtle and they can make a big difference to our nervous system. And so once you've found this position, if you'd like to, we'll now do a really gentle scan to check in on the internal weather. And so you're welcome to keep your eyes open if that feels best for you, or you can also close them, choosing an option that feels all right for you. And then very gently, if your eyes are open, just letting them stay on one spot so that our attention now turns from the outside to the inside. And we'll just very gently bring the attention to the breath itself. And notice, how am I breathing right now? Without any judgment or changing it at all, simply bringing the question in to see, how am I doing? And can you get a sense of where the breath is traveling in the body? You may or may not. All of that is okay. This is all information that's coming up. Maybe this is the first time you're noticing your breath, or maybe this is the 100th time you're noticing your breath. What is your experience like? Maybe you can bring in a word or two to describe the qualities of your breath right now. Does it feel like it's maybe a little bit strained or choppy? Does it feel smooth? And then what is the length of the breath? If you were to start to observe how long the inhale is and how long the exhale is. Does it feel like it's a little on the shorter end or on the longer end? And then we'll release that observation, just letting the breath be as it is. And next we'll shift into noticing any emotional states. So again, maybe checking in. Sometimes it's going into your heart space or simply observing a general feeling, a general sense of what's present for you. And just take a little scan to see, what is the emotional weather pattern today? Is it cloudy inside? Is it quite stormy? Or is there calm? It might be irritation, grief. We are humans that have the capacity to feel a whole spectrum, a whole range, just as the earth has a whole range of weather patterns. And so, which one or a few are present for you today? Let's take a moment to acknowledge that, maybe by breathing in, sipping in a little bit more air. And then as you exhale, you can lengthen the exhale. You might even make a sound of a sigh. So now we're just going to place that information aside. And sometimes allowing a sound or a longer exhale allows us to settle in and just release the intensity of whatever you just noticed. And so if you'd like to join in with the sound, you're welcome to, or simply a longer exhale. And so we can breathe in all together. Maybe sighing out. Just noticing the echoes of that in the body. If you'd like to, if that felt okay, if that felt nice, you can do so one more time. And then, given the information that you just received, we'll very gently, very briefly scan through the body. And I want you to first scan and notice, are there any areas that feel neutral or areas that you don't really feel or sense right now? Might be some parts of the body. And then very gently scanning from the top of your head down to the toes, starting to see, are there any areas of discomfort? And then as you note them, keep moving your attention. Keep moving it. We're doing a very brief map down to the toes. Okay, and once you've had that scan, let's all together take that breath in, and this time maybe allowing a little bit more spaciousness with the breath. So just meaning like you're sipping in a bit more, perhaps even imagining it traveling down into the abdomen. And then as you exhale, can you let all that information go and be just parking it beside you? And now you're welcome to very gently bring in any movement into the body that might be supportive, given the information you just received. So maybe that's the feeling of a slight long length through the spine. Sometimes that can feel nice to almost lengthen, lift the top of the head. Or maybe it's a little bit of like a shoulder movement, side to side, bringing in some very gentle movement. Maybe it's into the hands, or perhaps it's allowing the breath to move a little bit deeper. Seeing what kind of subtle movement might be supportive for you, given the information that you just received. So if there was a little bit of a tightness somewhere, what would it be like to give it a tiny wiggle, a tiny shift? Or maybe it's some stillness that feels better. All of that is welcome. And if you'd like to, you can gently blink the eyes and come back into this space together. You can also keep your eyes closed if that's relaxing for you, as I share a little bit about the practice that we'll transition into. So we just practiced a longer check in. And sometimes, depending on how we're doing that day, sometimes the information we get can start to feel like it's enlarging. The emotions or the sensations can feel like they're intensifying. And so, if that's the case for you, then you are more than welcome to shift your attention at any point that you'd like. Sometimes bringing your attention to the sensations or acknowledging really what is happening, although it can intensify, when we allow it to be and we feel it, sometimes it can move through really naturally too. And so as I before we move into the practice and I share about it, feel free to have a little break for a moment, maybe directing your attention, giving your eyes a little scan, your eyes a visual observation, letting them move around the space that you're in. It's called a visual orientation, to allow your eyes to move. Oftentimes our eyes become a little bit still on what we're focusing on. When we give the eyes some movement, we're actually opening up our perception, opening up the possibilities for some subtle change. And then once you've done so, uh, again, knowing that you can take a break at any time, shift, move. You can have me on the side. You're more than welcome to do that at any point as well. You simply being here with us is enough. And so at this point, I'll share a little bit about the Yoga Nidra, and then I'll open up the room to see if there's any questions before we move into the practice. Yeah. So the Yoga Nidra, I use the word, it's the word yoga is in there, but it really is a stillness practice in that it's a quite a systematic mindfulness practice where there's a few different phases. And so one of the phases are actually a body scan. And this is something that, especially when we experience discomfort in the body, can be really great to reprogram the mind, the brain itself, and the connection to the body. It's really common when we experience discomfort for the mind to kind of distance itself. We have these natural protective mechanisms which say, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to go there, which is great. We need that. And at a certain point, when we want to start to change our relationship to certain sensations by getting curious and feeling and noticing what's there. It's called somatic tracking, when you start to look at what temperature is there, what size of sensation is this? We can start to get a little curious about what these sensations really are and where they really are. Oftentimes, the mind will make them seem a little bit bigger than they really might be. So, body scan will be part of the practice just to help facilitate that connection between the mind and the body. When we move into it, know that at any point, if it doesn't feel right to bring your attention somewhere, you are your best guide. You can direct your attention wherever you would like. The second piece, we go into what's known as pairs of opposites. And so, what we're doing there is we're actually training the mind to be able to start to gain a little bit more flexibility. In this practice, we'll shift from an example might be, let's say, temperature. We might imagine a cooler temperature and then imagine a warmer temperature. Each of us has our own response to different temperatures. They might elicit a different feeling in the body. And so through relaxing and bringing in mindfulness, we start to train the brain that these different states, these different opposing states actually can be safe to feel. And so we can slowly start to change our brain's association with different sensations in a subtle way. One last piece is that we use visualization or imagination as in the practice. Now, this is very much a practice. So, if you don't visualize or can't see anything, know that that's absolutely normal and very common and okay. The more that we practice the imagining muscle, the easier it gets. So again, this is something that you can come back to as a practice, and you might notice that your experience over time might change. So again, this practice is about noticing what is present for you, and everyone's going to have a different experience. For some people, if you're experiencing lots of sounds in the background, or you're having difficulty hearing, that's going to be a part of your experience, and you'll notice what arises for you. I think I've shared in the past. I recall one time when I was facilitating, I was guiding one of these sessions. I think there for me there was a noise in the background, and for me personally, the emotion of irritation was coming up, and that led to a little bit of fear. And through with the practice of mindfulness, I was able to sit and hold space for that, for those emotions to be processed and be present and move through. And what a different experience that is than sometimes having pure silence. And isn't that life? Life will always be changing in terms of what your environment might be and what experience you have. So here we're practicing observing and noticing what arises. And can we bring in some compassion for ourselves, no matter what we're experiencing? An acknowledgement of perhaps the subtleties of peace and joy, and also the acknowledgement of the discomfort and the uncomfortable emotions that might arise. So, in this practice, we're not ignoring any of the pain or any of the discomfort, but we are practicing directing our attention to different areas, both within the body and through the mind. And so, before we move into the practice, are there any questions or any thoughts that anyone would like to share before we dive in? If there's any questions coming up, I'll definitely attend to them. And otherwise, you can begin to prepare for this practice. We'll be in it for about 20 to 25 minutes. And so again, you can shift your body at any point. No need to be fully still. And sometimes finding stillness can be a really different and supportive experience. So hopefully by now you found a position that works for you. And if not, take your time and see, how would I like to be supported for the next 20 minutes or so? Would I like to allow my back to maybe have a little bit more weight behind me in order to recline? Does it feel best to maybe put my feet up a little bit? And does my head feel supported where it is? And then lastly, you can choose to now close your eyes if you'd like to, or you can have them resting on one spot. Some people find that putting a little towel or shirt over the eyes can amplify the relaxing experience. And then once you've landed here, just as you are, welcoming in your whole experience just as it is. Whether there are thoughts or emotions or sensations present, know that all of you, all of it is welcome. And so throughout this practice, if your mind wanders, if you're noticing the thoughts arising or emotions arising, know that that is all okay. Your presence here with us, no matter how you are, is just right. Even if it feels like it's not, that too is welcome, that feeling. And then gently begin to bring your attention to your physical structure and maybe guiding your attention to all the parts of you that are touching a surface right now. That might be your back body, or if you're on your side, you might notice more of a shoulder and side body. So gently scanning, where am I supported by the earth, the surface beneath me? Can you feel maybe the back body, perhaps your hips, and maybe your feet too, if they're on the ground? Feeling the line and the connection of where your body touches the surface. And if that's difficult to do, know that that's okay. That is the information you're receiving. And then shifting your attention now to feel the breath as it travels into the body and seeing what it might be like to maybe lengthen the breath, softening it, feeling it traveling a little bit deeper down into the abdomen, maybe even into the pelvis. Imagining this breath flowing in smoother. And as you exhale, softening, releasing, and allowing yourself to settle in just as you are, supported by this breath. Perhaps inviting one more slightly deeper breath to flow in and through you. And as you exhale again, smooth, slow exhale. If this breathing pattern feels good for you, you're welcome to carry on with it, where you slightly lengthen it and allow the exhale to be smooth. Otherwise, you can come back to any natural rhythm of breath that is feeling best for you. And then very gently now, we'll move into the body scan. And so you can have the option of bringing your hands. Sometimes it can be difficult to feel an area, so you can bring your hands to the areas that I highlight to you. You can touch these areas, or you can direct your attention there to see what you feel. And the lack of a sensation is also very much the same, just as valuable of information as a felt sense. And so let's begin by noticing and feeling the tongue in your mouth and seeing what it's like to allow this tongue to soften in your mouth. Maybe it gets a little heavier, and in doing so, you might bring your attention now to your jaw itself and maybe unhinging the jaw slightly and softening some of the muscles that are around the jaw. It might be nice to bring your hands here to the jaw if that feels okay. You might even bring in a subtle massage. This area is one that's used consistently to eat, to speak, sometimes to breathe, open mouth. So bringing the hands, maybe some gratitude to all that the jaw and the mouth does. Then you can relax the hands down and perhaps allowing now the eyes to get heavier into their sockets. So feeling the muscles behind the eyes get a little heavier. So it's like the eyeballs are sinking in. And then bringing your attention to your nose and seeing what it's like to feel the tip of the nose. You might, if you're breathing through the nostrils, you might notice the sensation of breath here traveling through. And then moving the attention to the back of the head, kind of the scalp. This is where it might, if it's available to you, it might be nice to bring some subtle touch, maybe some subtle massage. There are so many nerve endings here. And so if that feels nice for you, you might bring a very gentle, almost like petting like motion, or maybe more of like a massage or scratch here. Noticing the whole head, the whole scalp. And now, as you do so, imagining that when you breathe in, the air travels up, rises up, and creates a little bit of spaciousness in your head, in your mind, relaxing the arms whenever you'd like. And then you can even imagine now with the next breath in, all the grooves in the brain itself will feel and imagine the air traveling through all the grooves, kind of clearing some space in the mind here. Maybe there are some worries or consistent thoughts, and we're just going to wash it out with this wind of the breath, imagining that when you breathe in, it's creating that space, that lightness for more oxygen to flow in. And just placing aside anything that was occurring earlier today or earlier in the week or weekend. And when you breathe in, allowing that space for the air to expand into the mind. And then gently, as you breathe out now, bringing the attention to the throat and just noticing what's present in the throat. Can you feel and sense the throat? Sometimes we can feel like almost like there's a little tightness there. And if you'd like to join in with me, you're welcome to simply listen or make the sound itself. We'll be activating a nerve that travels through here with the sound of a hum. And when we do so, we're actually activating the nervous system, which is the rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system. And so here we'll transition into 3 breaths here as we keep the attention on the felt sense of the throat. You might even place some fingers really gently on the side of the throat just to feel the actual physical vibration. Or you can also simply notice it in your mind's eye, kind of feel the sound traveling through. So let's inhale together, breathing in. And as you exhale, allowing a low hum to travel through. Hmm. You might move the hands or move your attention through the neck as we do this again. Maybe you feel the vibration a little stronger in some areas and a little subtler in the others. Hmm. And if you'd like to join in one more time or simply listen, feeling the vibration in the throat and noticing what it's like to have a longer exhale with the hum. Hmm. And then gently releasing the hand if it was there on the throat, and allowing your shoulders now to melt, almost as if there's like some warmth that's being placed on the shoulders. This is often an area where we carry a lot of worries or a lot of stuff from the past. And so, what would it be like to shed some of that weight and allow the shoulders to literally melt a little bit away from the ears right now? And as you do so, feeling that warmth and that weight melting down both arms. Now, here again, you're always welcome to bring touch to these areas or noticing what it's like to simply bring your mind there, your attention there. And then feeling this gentle warmth pouring down and pooling into the hands themselves. And now feeling and sensing just the fingertips, the tips of the fingers. And now the nails in the nail bed. And imagining the nails softening, melting into the nail bed. And then bringing all your attention into the palms themselves, the hands that extend out to touch, to receive, maybe to eat. Our hands that do so much for us. Can you simply feel and sense the palms? You might even notice a subtle pulsing or energy there, as this is an area that has many nerve endings. And the heart itself, you can imagine that with each heartbeat, the palms themselves, you can feel that circulation. They're beating with your heart. There is so much love and care in these hands. They're the hands and arms that can extend to touch a pet, or maybe extend to embrace a loved one, a friend. They are the ones that extend for a handshake and an acknowledgement. And so let's take a moment to feel these hands and maybe even feel some gratitude as we sense these hands. Gratitude for the sensation of the hands that allow us to connect with others. And if you'd like to, you can allow the hands to rest down by your side, or next, you can maybe bring them towards your own chest. And here, as your hands land on your own chest, you might now bring your attention to the lungs themselves and to the sensation in your chest. So that when you breathe in, you might feel a very gentle expansion, the lungs opening up. And as you breathe out, you might feel the ribs come in gently. And then bringing the hands or your attention down to the abdomen, this area of digestion. We're digesting information, we're digesting food, this place where we're able to take in nourishment. As you breathe in, what might it be like to soften this area? This is often an area that tenses up. We hold a lot of emotions here. Sometimes there's like a bracing. I certainly feel that myself. And so, what might it be like to feel yourself maybe softening by 5%? If you could allow the breath, either through imagining or physically doing so, directing it, imagining or directing the breath traveling down into the abdomen now. So that when you inhale, you might even feel the belly button move away from the spine. And as you exhale, you might notice a subtle tension or an activation as the belly button comes towards the spine. You also might notice no movement at all. All of that is okay. You're simply noticing the abdomen and imagining the breath flowing here to create some spaciousness. And then very gently, you can again bring the hands here or simply direct your attention down into the hips and feeling yourself maybe softening into the hips. And then noticing the support that's around them. Noticing that you don't need to hold yourself up here. What would it be like to allow gravity to hold you here and feel a little bit of ease coming into the hip region? Then almost like if you were to imagine stepping into a warm bath or a big pool that's a warm bath, and it's like this warmth moving down your legs now, feeling it travel down the legs, feeling your legs get heavier, and then bringing all your attention down into your feet, if that feels okay to do. Otherwise, you can bring your attention wherever you'd like and join back in. And so now noticing and feeling all the toes in the feet themselves. Can you feel and sense the toes or not? This is all information for us. And what might it be like to now feel and sense the whole body as a whole? So now bringing into your attention the felt sense of your feet, your legs, hips, torso, the abdomen, arms, chest, neck, and head. And bringing into your awareness almost like your whole body is encompassed in like an egg-like shape, like a whole body, full body sensation. Feeling, noticing, sensing the whole body. And now as you breathe in, imagining the oxygen and feeling the whole body filled with the air and oxygen. And as you breathe out, whole body releases all that air. And it's like when we release that CO2, that carbon dioxide, we're releasing any stagnant, any stagnant energy through the body, any stiffness. Breathing in, allowing the sensation of air to travel in to the whole body, down to the toes, into the fingertips. And as you breathe out, letting go, releasing. It's like a detoxification that happens when we exhale. Breathing in, expanding air through the whole body. Maybe you even feel yourself start to feel lighter, expansive. And then as you breathe out now, letting it go, maybe you feel that your spine kind of, your energy coming inward more, a little heaviness. And we'll now transition into pairs of opposites. So feeling and imagining what it's like to be heavy. What thoughts, maybe there's sensations or images that arise with heaviness. Welcoming that in now. Maybe noticing heavy, heavy, like a bowling ball. And then that weight slowly starts to dissipate and begin to imagine and sense, what does lightness feel like? What does it feel like, or what might you imagine or sense with lightness, weightless, light like a feather? And then now letting that go. Next, we'll imagine what it's like to be in a cloudy area, kind of foggy. What arises when maybe it's the mind, maybe it's the weather around you when there's fog. It's difficult to see very far, difficult to feel or think clearly, foggy. Just bringing in any sensations in the body that arise, maybe any thoughts or images with fogginess. Noticing how familiar or how that is for you. And then it's as if there's a gentle breeze that comes through, and then the sun begins to shine through and pop out. And it starts to clear the fog. Clarity, clear. You can actually see quite far with clear vision. What is it like? What sensations, what thoughts, images come up with clarity? And notice if that is quite a different sensation. Is it easy for you to notice clarity, or is it difficult? Does anything arise for you? Clarity. And then beginning to imagine yourself landing in an open meadow where there are some mountains around you and you are in the clear air. Imagining as if there is the freshest air around you here. Your feet land into the earth. You look down and you notice that there's really soft grass, and you can feel the warmth of the earth as the sun is coming through. You can feel that subtle warmth on your skin. There's wild flowers growing all around, and a gentle stream that runs by, so you can hear the subtle sound of water trickling by. And there are some birds that are flying around playfully, and you can see a hawk up in the sky gliding through. And as you look up into the sky, you can also see clouds really gently floating by in a vast blue open sky. And you feel yourself reclining into this grass. You take a seat and you lay back. And as you lay back, you realize that you have been walking, you have been carrying a lot of weight for a long time. And so you allow yourself here to rest. You allow yourself here to take a pause and a break. You let your feet soften and you realize, wow, you have been carrying so much. This journey that you have been on in life has been a full ride. And you so deserve a break. And so you allow yourself to gently look up at the clouds where in this moment, there's nothing else to do and nowhere else to be other than to breathe. Breathe just as you are. And you can feel yourself looking up and observing the different shapes of the clouds. Realizing that you are a human here that's allowed to simply enjoy the view. And then you also, as you're enjoying this moment, you also bring your attention to any wounds, any sores, and you feel the gentle light, the sunlight coming through and providing some care, some acknowledgement and compassion to all the sores from this life's journey that are present either in the mind or in the body. And you imagine that stream that's flowing by, like there's gentle water that's coming to cleanse some of these sores, some of these wounds. And you feel supported here, just as you are. And you're welcome to stay resting here for however long you like, knowing that you can rest here and soak up this time in this space. And if you feel ready to transition, you're welcome to very gently bring your breath a little bit deeper into the body, bringing your attention to the breath as it flows through you. And then you might even feel yourself starting to move and wiggle some fingertips, maybe your toes. You might breathe in and see if there's any subtle shifts you'd like to make in your body, maybe a stretch that wants to come through. And then maybe blinking the eyes and gently coming back into this space. And you are welcome to stay inward and transition into the rest of your day nice and slow. Or if you'd like to share about your experience or share any questions, you're welcome to type in the chat or unmute. And I wish for you to have a restful, peaceful rest of your day. And I thank you. I thank you all for joining me. Thank you for being present here with me. And I thank you for being a part of this community, this group. I want to really acknowledge that we're here together. And so thank you for the support that you offer to everyone as well. Yeah, you're so welcome. I almost fell asleep. That is fantastic. Yeah, when we look at the brain waves themselves, when we enter into more of a relaxed state, the brain waves can actually slow down. And so sometimes there's even the experience of like dipping into sleep and then coming out of it, dipping in. Yeah, that can absolutely happen. And that means that you're receiving some deep rest, which is so fantastic. I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah. Yeah, Cindy, thank you. All that joined and myself. Yeah, thank you. The restful trip. That's fantastic. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah, you're so welcome, David. Thanks for the. Oh, nice. Another person almost fell asleep. So that's great. We're receiving some deep rest. And when there's discomfort, sleep itself can be challenging to really have a full restful sleep. So this practice can be really beneficial in providing that deep rest. So I'm glad. I'm glad. Oh, wonderful. Well, again, thank you all for your presence. And oh, thanks, David. I appreciate that your presence, and I received that for sure. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Okay. You're so welcome, Cynthia. Yeah. All right. So may we all transition smoothly into the rest of our days. And I look forward to seeing you hopefully next Tuesday. And Thursdays, we've got some mindful movement. We've got the yoga for pain. So you're welcome to join in with that as well. Great. Okay. Take care, everyone. Great to see you all. Bye.